Welcome to the Middle School Cafe podcast, where we're serving up fresh strategies and solutions for ELA teachers just like you. Join us as we explore proven methods to bridge the achievement gap and help every student reach their full potential. Whether you're a veteran teacher or just starting out, grab a cup of coffee and a notepad and let's get started. Here's your host, Carolyn Wall.
Happy almost Halloween, everyone! I hope you're doing well and enjoying the cooler weather now that autumn has arrived. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to share a quick life update. I have always believed in being open and honest with this community, and I want to continue that. As many of you know, I've often shared stories and experiences from my own classroom, and while I'll still be sharing plenty of teaching ideas and reflections, my day-to-day role looks a little different now. Just a few days before the school year began, I accepted a new position at a local university. I'm now working with pre-service educators as they complete their degrees and prepare for licensure. It's been a big change, but one that's been incredibly rewarding. I love their energy, their questions, and the genuine excitement they bring to the teaching profession. I didn't make this announcement earlier because, honestly, I had fully expected to return to my middle school ELA classroom. Over the summer, I recorded and scheduled several podcast episodes in advance, so by the time this transition happened, everything was already set to go. And with such a busy start to this new role, there just wasn't time to go back and re-record. I hope you understand, and if you have questions, feel free to reach out. Now that you're caught up, let's jump into today's topic. Today, we're exploring how short stories can turn those small reading moments into big learning opportunities. With so many of us using short stories as part of our curriculum, it's worth thinking about how we can make the most of them, how we can use the stories we already have to build stronger, more confident readers. We know how fast-paced the year can feel. You move from unit to unit, trying to balance skills, standards, and testing prep. Short stories can give us a little breathing room without losing rigor. They're flexible enough to fit into any pacing guide and still create space for meaningful reading and discussion. When we look at them as opportunities for deeper thinking, rather than quick tasks to check off, they start to work for us, not just fill time. Short stories are a regular part of most ELA programs now. Whether they're part of a packaged curriculum or a collection you've built over the years, they often make up a big portion of what students read. Of course, we want students to experience longer, more complex texts. Those deeper reading experiences matter. But since many of us are currently working within short story-heavy programs, it's worth asking how we can use what we have to still build comprehension, stamina, and a love of reading. One of the biggest benefits of short stories is that they allow for focused skill practice without overwhelming students. Because the texts are shorter, we can zero in on one or two learning goals, like theme, point of view, or character development, and help students master them through repeated exposure. You can even use short stories as formative checkpoints. After teaching a skill in a longer unit, bring in a brief story a week or two later to see how well students can transfer that skill to a new context. It's a quick, low-stakes way to gauge understanding without adding more testing, and it helps you see what needs more practice before moving on. For example, if we want to work on theme, Thank You Ma'am by Langston Hughes is perfect. In just a few pages, students can see how a single interaction reveals something meaningful about trust and forgiveness. Or if we're focusing on point of view, Charles by Shirley Jackson naturally opens the door to talk about perspective and reliability. This approach also gives students more chances to see the same skill in different contexts. You can analyze figurative language in one story, dialogue and characterization in another, and tone or mood in the next. That kind of variety helps reinforce learning, and for middle schoolers, it keeps things fresh. A new story every week or two provides that balance between routine and novelty that students respond to so well. Another benefit of using short stories intentionally is engagement. Many students, especially those who struggle with stamina, feel less pressure starting something they can finish quickly. A short story feels doable, and that sense of completion builds confidence. They see progress right away, and that matters. When students can actually finish a story, talk about it, and understand it, they start to view themselves as readers. That confidence carries over into their independent or choice reading as well. Once students start to experience success with shorter texts, you'll begin to see a shift. They're more willing to pick up a book on their own because they finally believe they can finish it. You'll notice them taking small risks, trying a new genre, exploring an author they've never read before, or even choosing slightly higher level texts because they have a little more confidence in themselves as readers. Short stories create those stepping stones that help students move from, I don't like to read, to I can do this. And when that happens, it's such a great moment to witness. You can see their body language change, their participation increase, and their willingness to engage grow. Those small successes start to stack up. And before long, reading feels less like an assignment and more like something they're actually capable of enjoying. Short stories also make it easy to bring in a wide range of voices and perspectives. In just a few weeks, you can introduce students to authors from different time periods, cultures, and backgrounds, something that's harder to do with a single novel unit or when students are each reading different books during independent reading. Because each story stands alone, it also gives the class a shared experience to discuss, a common text that everyone can analyze, question, and connect to, even when their independent reading choices vary. These smaller texts also open the door to rich conversations. Whether it's the twist and irony in The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant, the relatable family dynamics in 11 by Sandra Cisneros, or the awkward honesty in 7th grade by Gary Soto, short stories give students something to connect to quickly. They can analyze, infer, and discuss without feeling buried under pages of text. Every time a student says, I actually liked that story, it's a reminder of why these moments matter. They help build confidence and momentum. If you're thinking about how to get more out of the short stories you're already teaching, start by connecting them to larger goals. Short stories are great tools for introducing big ideas or reinforcing key skills that show up again and again throughout the year. You might use a story to preview a theme like fairness or resilience before a longer text, or to circle back to a skill you want to strengthen, such as analyzing character motivation or recognizing point of view. For example, a story like Raymond's Run by Tony Cade Bambera opens the door to conversations about competition and empathy. Fish Cheeks by Amy Tan invites reflection on culture and belonging. Both are short enough to read and discuss in a day or two, but rich enough to spark meaningful talk that connects directly to the bigger themes we want students to explore all year long. When we use short stories with intention, they give students the background knowledge and thinking skills they'll need when they tackle longer, more complex texts later on. You can also make short stories more interactive. Try mini literature circles where small groups each read a different story and then come together to compare how authors approach a similar theme or conflict. Students might notice how two characters respond differently to pressure, or how setting impacts tone. You can also build in quick writing responses, short reflections, character journals, or silent debates around a question the story raises. Those small writing opportunities make reading and writing feel connected and purposeful without overwhelming students. And if your students are struggling to stay consistent with independent reading, short stories can help there too. Mixing in shorter pieces between novels keeps students from losing momentum. They still get that sense of finishing something, which helps rebuild confidence and keeps reading routines alive. That success carries over. Over time, you'll notice that consistency paying off. Discussions start to deepen, students make connections between stories, and they begin to apply the same strategies when reading independently. Those are the small wins that remind us why these short pieces matter. They help students build habits that last long after they've left our classrooms. Short stories might take less time to teach, but their impact lasts far beyond the unit. They help students see growth faster, gain confidence in their reading skills, and approach future texts with a little more curiosity and willingness. When we give students those kinds of experiences consistently, we're not just teaching stories, we're helping them build lasting reading habits. And along the way, you're modeling what it means to be a reader yourself: curious, reflective, and open to new ideas. That's something your students notice. When they see you enjoying the process of exploring new stories, they start to see reading as something that belongs to them too. As we head into these cozy fall months filled with spooky stories and the excitement of upcoming holidays, it's a perfect time to revisit the short stories already in your curriculum. This season naturally invites storytelling, reflection, and connection, the very things that make reading powerful in the classroom. Use that energy to create moments where students can see themselves as readers, where stories spark curiosity, conversation, and maybe even a little joy. If you'd like to explore this topic a little more, check out the show notes for related resources and previous episodes that focus on using short stories with purpose, from helping students build reading stamina to developing deeper discussion skills. You'll also find ideas for short stories that fit the season, perfect for classroom use around the holidays, or anytime you want to keep students engaged through meaningful, high interest reading. And be sure to join me next time when we shift gears to talk about teaching nonfiction texts, how to help students bring the same confidence and curiosity they've developed through stories into informational reading. Fiction or nonfiction, the heart of reading is connection, helping students see meaning in the words they read and in the world around them. Thank you for joining me today. I know there's a lot competing for your attention, so I'm always grateful when you spend some time here. If this episode sparked an idea or a bit of inspiration, consider sharing it with a colleague or friend who might enjoy it as well. Until next time. Thanks for joining me today. As a reminder, a new episode drops every first and third Tuesday, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Be sure to visit middleschoolcafe.com to find links to everything mentioned in today's show. Until next time.